Hello and welcome to the Let It Ride podcast, coming at you to preview conference championship weekend in the NFL. As always, I'm your host, Jeffrey Hooks, coming at you on a Wednesday afternoon. Conference championship weekend, that means we just have 3 games left in the NFL season. The NFL season winding down to a close here, but hopefully have some great picks here for you. Have a prop bet in each game. Also going to give out a pick on the side and total for both games. So 6 bets coming at you on this podcast. We're going to dive right into the AFC Championship game. It is the Patriots taking on the Broncos. The Broncos, a 5.5 point underdog at home. The over/under sitting at 42.5. And of course, the Broncos are underdogs because their starting quarterbacks, Bo Nix, broke a bone in his ankle in that win over Buffalo. He will miss the remainder of the season. They turned to Jarrett Stidham, their backup quarterback. That is the reason they are an underdog at home in this game. Going to start with my prop bet because I really like this prop. Evan Ingram over 19.5 receiving yards. You can get that on FanDuel right now. This prop is listed at 22.5 yards on DraftKings, so you're getting a really good number here on FanDuel. The Patriots have given up 20 plus receiving yards to 20 tight ends in 19 games this year. So they've had games where multiple tight ends went for over 20 yards, including last week when Dalton Schultz had 45 yards. And then he goes out of that game early, and Harrison Bryant came in and also had over 20 yards. The Patriots give up the 7th most yards to tight ends in the NFL. So I really expect Evan Ingram to have a big game in this when you have a backup quarterback who hasn't played in a while. The tight end lines up closer to the quarterback, so it's kind of a security blanket thing for the backup. I think you'll see Jarrett Stidham going to Evan Ingram often, and he only has to get to 20 yards. You can also play some escalators on this. 40 plus yards is plus 370, 50 plus yards plus 680, 60 plus yards plus 1100. You can take that all the way up to 70 plus yards plus 1700, even 80 plus yards plus 2800. Now, Evan Ingram has only faced one other defense that ranks bottom 7 against tight ends. That was the Washington Commanders. He put up 79 yards in that game. He has also put up over 20 yards in 11 of his 16 games. Like I said, the Patriots do not defend tight ends well, so I really like this prop. Evan Ingram over 19.5 receiving yards for the total. We're going to take the over 42.5 here. As I touched on the last podcast, and my friends over at the Still Against All Odds, they actually read out one of my tweets on their show. So shout out to the Parlay Kid and those guys. They read one of my tweets about the Denver Broncos defense. When they face viable quarterbacks, they give up over 25 points per game. So I don't think this defense is as good as the numbers say. So I'm taking the over in this game. I also think on the other side that Sean Payton is just going to figure things out with a backup quarterback. Now, Bo Nix, yes, he is a starting quarterback. He is a decent quarterback. I don't think he is an otherworldly quarterback that, like, oh no, nobody else can run this offense except for Bo Nix. I think Jarrett Stidham is going to come in and do just fine here. And the Broncos also struggle against tight ends. So I think you could see Hunter Henry and the Patriots offense put up some points in this game. Now, Hunter Henry's yardage total sitting at 45.5. That's why I didn't give that out as a prop. I think that number is more properly priced than Evan Ingram's all the way down at 19.5. But I do think that Hunter Henry has a big game in this one. I think the Patriots offense puts some points on the board. And I think the Broncos do keep up in this one. So I'm going to take the over 42.5. And as for the side, the Patriots are 1-4 against the Broncos in the playoffs all time. In fact, the home team is 5-0 in this matchup. The Patriots have never won a playoff game in Denver, including Tom Brady going 0-3 in Denver. So even the great Tom Brady could not come into Denver and win a playoff game. And one of those games, he faced noodle arm Peyton Manning in the 2016 AFC Championship game. If you want to sit here and say, well, now they're not facing a viable quarterback. Well, I would say that Peyton Manning wasn't very viable in 2016, and the Broncos rode him all the way to a Super Bowl. Now, I do not think this Broncos defense is as good as that Broncos defense, hence why I'm giving out the over 42.5. And I do think the Patriots win this game, but I think the Broncos keep this close. I think this is a 24-20 type of game. Give me the Broncos plus 5.5. So my picks for this game, we're taking Evan Ingram over 19.5 yards, taking the over 42.5, and taking the Broncos plus 5.5. That is going to move us on to the NFC Championship game. It is the Rams taking on the Seahawks. The Seahawks, a 2.5-point favorite at home. The over/under sitting at 47.5. And I did see this number get up to 3 on BetMGM as I was doing my research. I wrote that down real quick. Like, oh, go over to BetMGM, take the Rams plus 3. That line disappeared with the quickness. By the time I went back to check on it again, it was already back to 2.5. But don't let that 2.5 number scare you or sit here and think, oh, well, that lost its value. both of the matchups between these two teams were decided by 2 points or less. You had a 38-37 game in their last matchup. You had a 21-19 game in the matchup before that. So these teams are going to play each other close. So if you're going to take the Rams, don't be afraid of that 2.5, thinking, oh, I have to buy it up to 3. Taking the Rams plus 2.5, still a viable play in this one. But we are going to start with my prop bet. And this is kind of an outlier one. I'm going to take Rashid Shaheed over half of a rushing yard. This is kind of a goofy one. You can find this on Bet365. They have a rushing prop for Rashid Shaheed. He had 2 carries last week against San Francisco. He had a carry against the Rams in their last matchup as well that went for 31 yards. No Zach Charbonnet. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game than the total would indicate. So I think you could see the Seahawks offense struggling. I think the Rams key in on Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I think you see this offense struggle early, and they might want to get the ball in their playmakers' hands. You see an end around to Shaheed. He only has to get over a half yard, 1 rushing yard. You'd even have a backwards pass that counts as a run. So I really like this prop, Rashid Shaheed over half of a rushing yard. You can also play escalators on this one, 20 plus. If you think he takes an end around and breaks it, we have 20 plus at plus 675, 30 plus at plus 1300. But the pick I'm giving out here, Rashid Shaheed over half of a rushing yard. That is minus 110 on Bet365. On to the total. Like I said, these two teams have matched up twice. We had a 21-19 game where the total was set at 49. Their next matchup, the total set low at 42.5, and that one goes 38-37. But you have to remember with that one, yes, it looks like a shootout when you look at the final score, but that game was 23-14 in the fourth quarter before you had a punt return from the Seahawks kind of wake up their offense, and all of a sudden the points were just flying on the board. You also had 2 touchdowns in overtime. The Seahawks went for 2 in overtime, so you had a touchdown on a punt return. You had 2 touchdowns in overtime, so that's 22 points. Then you also had Darnold throw what basically was a pick 6. He throws an interception that gets run all the way back to the 1. The Rams punch in a 1-yard touchdown. So that's 30 points right there. So that game lands at 75. 30 points kind of happen on just fluke plays. So I still like the under in this game. I think these are 2 really good defenses. The Seahawks might be the best defense in the NFL. I think the Seahawks game plan is going to try to dial back the mistakes for Sam Darnold. I think this game is played close and tight. Give me the under 47.5. And as for the side, look, these are the 2 best teams in the NFL. This isn't great handicapping on my part, but these are the 2 best teams in the NFL. So I'm probably just going to take whoever's getting points here. So give me the Rams plus 2.5. Like I said, both matchups decided by 2 points or fewer. So if the Seahawks are getting 2.5, I'd probably be on them just getting the point, just because this is, like I said, a matchup between the 2 best teams in the NFL. If you look at any metric, DVOA, whatever metric you want to look at, these 2 teams are the class of the NFL. I think this game will decide who wins the Super Bowl. Give me the team that's getting the points. I'll take the Rams plus 2.5. So my picks for this one, giving out the Rams plus 2.5, Rashid Shaheed over half of a rushing yard, and the under 47.5. And for the AFC Championship game, just to recap, giving out Evan Ingram over 19.5 receiving yards, giving out the over 42.5. Finally, giving out the Broncos plus 5.5. That is going to do it for my picks and the podcast. Thank you to everybody for listening, and I will see you all next week with some Super Bowl props.